Good day, everyone. Welcome to our webinar. We are thrilled to have you all here with us today. Before we start, let's take a few minutes to introduce ourselves and get to know each other by, let's say, you can type your name in the chat box and let us know where you are joining from. And so my name is Vishwanath Singh, and I'll be your host for the today's webinar. Okay, so this is a Skill Connect webinar, our popular webinar series focused on knowledge imparting topics and industry trends. And today's topic will be roadmap of how to become a Java backend developer. But before we dive into the topic, let me give you a brief overview of what we will be covering in the webinar today and what we do. So to begin with, I'll provide you with an introduction of our organization, and our guest speaker will then proceed to share their knowledge and perspective on today's subject matter. And during the webinar, we will provide a comprehensive guide including core Java, advanced Java, Spring Core, and other topics. Additionally, during the course of the webinar, we will present a demonstration of our platform outlining its functions and accessibility towards the end. And we will provide an attendance form after that. If you fill that, in exchange, you will get an ebook, which is filled with industry insights, which will help you to get better at your skill set. So SkillVertex is an e-learning platform that creates and sells upskilling courses that are designed to meet the needs of today's work, fast-paced and ever-changing job market. And we provide live as well as recorded sessions in multiple domains, such as engineering, finance, marketing, and management. One of the key benefits one of the key benefits of our platform is the flexibility it offers. Our courses, it are self-paced, and you can learn at your own convenience wherever you want. So we also have a team of experienced mentors who are always there to provide guidance and support whenever you need it. And the second option is recorded, in which the students will receive the same project and classes, but without a mentor to assist them. Our courses are designed to be engaging and interacting, offering you an interactive learning experience. We offer various certifications, letter of recommendation, and additionally, they will have industry capstone projects to showcase on their resume upon completion of courses, helping you enhance your resume and stand out from the crowd and the today's competitive market. The best part is that our courses are affordable and accessible to everyone, because we believe that everyone should have access to high quality education regardless of their background and financial institutions. Or in addition to our courses, we also provide placement and paid internships, resume building sessions, and mock interviews based on the course you select from our website. We believe that upskilling is crucial in today's ever-changing job market, and our courses are designed to provide the skills and knowledge necessary for success. We are passionate about helping our students achieve their goals, and we are committed to providing them with the best possible learning experience. So for now, I would like to introduce our special guest. He is an expert in field of software development and has years of experience in the industry. So welcome, Mr. Sonu Kumar. We are excited to have you, Sonu, here with us to share their insights and knowledge with us. Truly, it's an honor to have you here.
Yeah, hello everyone. So thanks for the inviting. So today we are going to discuss the topic, which is the roadmap for the Java backend developer. So for the Java backend developer, by name it is clear, like you have to know the Java language. Okay. So first of all, what is the prerequisite for the Java backend developer? So in the terms of the Java, we have seen, like in our also the online the courses that we are teaching here. So in the core Java concept, we are teaching like basics of the Java, and in the OOPS language. And in terms of advanced Java, people were using in the past, which is the servlet technology, JSP, and other things that is not currently used. So why the Spring came into the market? Because in before means 2006 and 7, people are using, for example, a struts framework, which is only capable to build the web layer. Similarly, there are other frameworks which is specialized into building a particular framework, so a particular layer only. Okay, so in the Spring we will be building a complete application, right? So let me share the screen. So the first thing we are trying to understand is what is the Spring Core and the Spring Boot framework, right? So by name it is clear. First of all, what we are trying to understand, we are going for the framework. So first of all, you should have the knowledge what is the framework, right? So framework, we know it is nothing but a semi-developed software which provides some common logic to interpret and include in our business. Okay, so whatever we are building, we don't write exactly from the scratch whatever we needed. We try to search for the optimized code, optimized the library which is already tested, and the everything has been, means load testing, the unit testing, everything has been completed on that framework. So we try to leverage that things, right? So in that scenario, it will be a less burden on our developer also. He has not to worry about whatever it is using. He will be easily handled whatever the things are available in the market and which is licensed, tested, and open source, because we don't want to pay also for everything. We will pay money for the some particular thing which is not available in free, right? For example, the cloud services where Amazon is not providing you, or Microsoft or Google to use freely. So you have to pay that services. But whatever the logics we want to incorporate in our corporation or in our business logic, that we will try to leverage as much at most whatever it is present in the market, right? So that's why we try to use the framework. And the framework is, we know it is a semi development, most of the part has been already completed for our the used framework, right? So first of all, in the market, what came? First of all, in the market, a Spring Core was there around 2007-8. After 7-8, the Spring Core came into the market, where we were writing the code in the complete XML form, right? For the every configuration, we will be using XML. Before that, Java configuration was not available, right? So there is a lot of burden on the developers, because, for example, let's say if you are writing a class and you want to create a object means a bean of the classes, right? So for creating a single bean, you will have to write 100 lines of XML tags. So being a Java developer, we will be writing the XML codes. That is not a good for the developer, because we are writing more XML code than the Java code. So what people thinking was thinking at that time. So people started thinking, how can we remove the dependency from the XML? So after some time, people decided that okay, we can remove the dependency of the XML, because as a Java developer, we want to focus writing more Java code, not on the XML part. Okay, so people started thinking and tried to build the Spring Core concept, which is a application development framework, right? Because if you will talk about this application architecture, so this is the UI layer where we will be filtering. For example, let's say if you are going for the Amazon and trying to book something, okay, or trying to order. So we will be searching, or you will be entering, checking the price, so everything, whatever the activity you are doing, which is on the UI layer, okay, user interface. And once you've submitted the your information or required data, then it will be the request that whatever the data you are submitting, it will reach to web layer, and from the web layer it will reach to your server layer, okay, in the bottom to top. So it will reach to service layer. At that time, what will happen? So here from the service layer, we are the backend things started, right? Because these things, the web layer and UI layer, this is the part of the front end, or there is a BFF called backend for front end. Okay. So at this situation, service layer, your proper request will start processing as a backend. So here at this situation, first of all, your request will reach to your services, where someone will be available to catch the request. So who is responsible to catch the request? The controller is available, okay? So controller will try to first catch the request, and once the controller has the request, then it will try to proceed in your business logic. Okay, in business logic, there are multiple things will be available. For example, let's say if you are building a services like e-commerce application, for example, so where you are selling shoes and other jeans and other any things, right? So you are trying to search for the shoes, and you have selected a brand, and you are submitting that, okay, I want this one quantity of this item. So in that case, you are sending the price, the item, everything tag is already available, you are submitting. So in backend, what when the request came to backend, what we will be doing? We will be checking in our database, because for every item there is a price tag which will be stored somewhere. So for storing, what we need? We need some file system with database, or we need a persistent system where we can store the information. So for that, in the starting, if there is a small organization, people try to use in the older time file system. So in file system, what was happening? You will be writing in the file, you will be reading the file through the Java, and again you are manipulating, and again you are updating the file. So this was a really a complex task for any developer. So what people started thinking? People started thinking that we can use some database here instead of using file. So these days, if you will be thinking, a small organization is trying to use the database, not moving on the file system, because this was a tedious task. And once your organization is getting bigger and bigger time to time, it will be again difficult for you to migrate from the file system to a database, right? So these days we are using the databases, and once the information is stored in your database, like price tag, everything, so in your business logic, you will try to fetch, okay, the item number this has a unique ID and it has a price tag this. So you will try to search in your DB that what is the price for this item. So there must be some unique identifier to search in our DB. So we can use some keys, unique keys like primary keys, the composite keys. Okay. So based upon that, your query will be also faster, and you can search the item from the DB. And once you have received the information from your DB, what you will do? You will try to manipulate the number of items. Let's say I've selected 3 items. You will try to multiply and do your business logic, whatever you want. Okay. And once your everything information is ready, then on UI, what you have to show? You have to show that, okay, this much number of item you have selected, and this is your total price, and this is the delivery date based upon your pin code, address, everything. Okay. So all of the information who is doing? Backend is doing. Means he is deciding that, okay, your order will be delivered by 10th of April. So it is 2 days from now. So how it is deciding? It is deciding the number of delivery partners available, like who can deliver the items fast, and the location. Means let's say if you are living in Delhi or Bangalore, so the item that you are searching which is not available in your city, so your timing, order time will get increases. So who is checking this one? Based upon the pin code of the stores and your location. So if there is a gap, large gap, then the time will be increases. So all of this information is the responsibility for the backend developer. Backend developer is trying to do everything. Okay. And whatever the result we are preparing, we will be sending to the UI. And UI is showing you whatever the information came from the backend. Right. So for this transmission means front end is sending some data to backend is processing some business logic, and business, after processing the business logic, backend is again sending data to front end. So now the question is, you might ask that in which form the data is moving. Okay. So for this, in the older time, people, well, we are again using the XML. Okay. And you must be seeing that in many places for writing a single information, you will be writing a lot of tags. Okay. So if let's say if you want to send just a item name, then at that scenario, you will be writing so many tags. Okay, you are writing one item, but you are writing more than 5, 6 tags. So this is becoming a heavyweight. Okay. So if you are transforming a heavyweight data, means heavy messages over the network, then it will get slowed. Okay, your UI loading time will get increased because whatever you are submitting, it is responding so late. So in that case, a latency will be introduced in your website. Okay, and the user will start complaining that this website is slow, your website is getting stuck in middle and is getting timeout, some UI is getting breaked. So such kind of issues we started facing, right? So XML was not too fast, it is a heavyweight. So what are the alternative to this? So after some times, people started using JSON. Okay. So JSON is nothing but a lightweight, and it is a faster movement in the networks. So by this, we are using JSON. We are submitting the information quite fast in compared to the XML that we are using in the past. So the data propagation is happening these days mostly in the JSON, right? So first of all, the information is entered in the UI, then it is coming to web layer, and it is coming to service layer. And from the service layer, everything, the logic is going, which is the responsibility of the backend developer, right? And in service layer, whatever the information we are doing, we are trying to fetch some information from the database. So how can an application connect to a database, right? So for this, we need a persistent layer. Through the persistent layer, we can connect to the databases, right? So coming to the point, why a Spring and why a Spring Boot is used here, right? So first of all, we know for the if you're trying to build the UI layer, in the earlier older time, people were using struts, and struts is only responsible to build the web layer, not all of the layers. I've written just a typical layers of the backend system, not all of the layer I have written here, but a general. Okay. So if I am trying to build a service layer, I cannot build with the help of struts. Okay. So struts were only responsible for the particular layer. So if I will ask you, what is the struts? So it means in which layer it can be used. So you can say that, okay, we can use only the web layer. So we can say that struts is a web layer framework, right? For the service layer, people are using the Java these days, and the older time we are using the servlets to accept the request. So in older time, only the frameworks were responsible to building a particular layer, not the complete application. But if I will ask you, if you're trying to build something bigger and you are alone in your team, so you will think that if I will go for the older fashion, then it will not be possible for me to build a larger system individual. Okay. So what we will do? We will try to use some ready-made framework in the market which is capable to build the complete application. And that's why our Spring came into the market. And Spring is responsible to build the complete application. And Spring is called, that's why the application development framework, not a particular layer building framework. And other technology before that were responsible to build only a single layer, but our Spring is able to build the complete layer. Okay, that's why we are calling the Spring core as a application development framework, right? Now this is the versatile framework. Why this is a versatile framework? The versatile framework reason is, let's say here in the application, there are so many layers. Okay. If I have built, let's say one layer with the older technology. Okay. Now I want to use for the persistent layer, the new technology, which is running these days. So if you're trying to build with the help of a Spring, the next layer, you can integrate also that. Okay. So if any older things are written already in your project, which is written in the Java, then you can integrate the other ones also on the top of that. So it can be easily integrated the older technology with the newer on the top of that. And you seem that, okay, my application is running on the newer technology, but in the core system, it might be using the older. So these days, you don't need to write everything from the scratch again for the newer technology. You can write on the top of that. So Spring is application development framework because it is capable to build the complete system. Spring is a versatile framework because it doesn't restrict you that you can't build any on the top of the newer technology, right? And the next thing is in a Spring core, here, let's say if you are building a student management software, right? So for a student, what are the required information? The required information is, for example, the address. In a school, there will be a lot of students, lot of teachers. For a particular student, a lot of information like roll number, name, age, the address. Okay. In address, again, a lot of information like address line 1, address line 2, city, pin code, state, country, everything. Okay. So if you are writing a class where you are writing a student information, so let's say you are consider four fields here. For example, the first one is your the age, name, roll number, and the address. Okay, so name you can write as a single field. Age you can write as a single field. For example, the other information you can write is, for example, email. You can write a single field. But when we talk about the address, if you're trying to write address in a single line, this will be a more difficult for the understanding purpose. If you are delivering something, then delivery boy will get confused at where I have to go. So we try to break our address into multiple lines, address line 1, line 2, line 3, and there is a separate city pin code. Okay. So like this, we are building a class again for the address. So my student class is communicating internally with the address classes, right? So for that, it is communicating internally. So whenever you will be injecting that your bin into your application while creating, you have to create the object of the address also. So this is the task of a programmer who is writing the code, who is developing the system, who is responsible to build this. But there is a not a single classes that developer can build this. Let's say there are thousands, 10,000s of classes are available in a bigger project. So all of the things developer can do. This is a really difficult task for any developer. So what are the alternative approaches here? So alternative approaches here in a Spring code, there are a lot of things. A Spring Web MVC, which will be used for the UI layer, the web layer, sorry, and the a Spring ORM can be used for the persistent layer, and JDBC we are using, or Hibernate we are using for connecting to the databases. So there are so many frameworks into the Spring code. Okay, and the best thing is all of the models of the Spring code were built individually. Okay, and it is also a best thing, like if you're trying to build some particular layer, so you don't have to study all of the core layers of the core systems of the Spring code, because there are 5 6 core modules are available in the Spring code, like a Spring context, a Spring AOP, a Spring expression language, a Spring next is your Spring data, Spring data JPA, Spring data Redis. So there's so many things, Spring Web MVC. So you don't have to study all of the modules. Then you can only start building your application with the Spring. Okay. So you can learn any modules that you need in your project, and you can start building whatever you want. Okay. So this is the best part. Now the problem was arises again. Here the lot of configuration have to do ourselves. Means the developer is responsible to do a lot of configuration. Okay. So again here is a tedious task. So how can we remove the dependency of the creating the auto configuration, creating the configuration by ourselves? So on the top of the Spring core, there is a Spring Boot. Okay, this is the name. By name, it is clear a Spring Boot. So in a Spring Boot, what we did? So people written the on the core of the Spring core concept. Okay, means whatever the Spring core model was there, just on the top, whatever we were doing the configuration ourselves, a Spring Boot has did these things by auto configuration. Okay, so whenever we are building application, we don't have to worry about how this bin will be managed inside in the Spring container. Spring Boot is taking care of all of it itself. We don't have to worry, right? So here the dependency has been reduced in the Spring Boot. So these days people are using a Spring Boot heavily in the industry. No one is using a Spring Core, right? Because Spring Core is a little bit slow. It is the slowest development also framework, you can say, for the Spring Core part, because a lot of things you have to do yourself. But when we talk about the Spring Core, you can build a REST endpoint, the REST API, in a matter of 5 minutes. Okay, you can build an API in the 5 minutes with the Spring Boot. This is how increase the speed of a developer, because we don't have to worry about the things internally how it is managed. You can directly add the dependency and you can start building your things whatever you want. So this has reduced the time and the effort of a developer while building an backend application with the help of a Spring Boot, right? So this is extension of the nothing but a Spring Core. Means a Spring Boot is a booting technique which is written on the top of the Spring Core to remove the manual configuration by the auto configuration. Okay, and it is reducing the developer effort also. So we have to use a Spring Core. If you are trying to build a backend system, we can use the Spring Core, Spring Boot framework only, right? So now let's come to the next part, the databases and the caching, right? So first of all, if we talk about the databases, so in the databases here, Spring Boot is providing a framework to you, a Spring Data JPA. JPM is the Java Persistent API, right? So in a Spring Data JPA, what we are trying to do? In the older fashion, when people were using Spring Core and the other things, so what we were doing at that time? We were writing a lot of boilerplate code. Boilerplate code means the duplicate code. Same things here writing for the particular logic. And if someone is needed at other places, again, he is writing the same code. So in your project, let's say 10,000 lines of code you have written. So if we can check line by line, then ultimately we will be finding that half of the lines are duplicate. So we are writing exactly double, triple lines of code in our project. Same code we are writing multiple places, and it is difficult for managing also. Let's say in future something change is coming. So if same thing we have written 10 times, 10 places, so a single configuration value you have to change, you have to write same thing at the 10 places again. So this is not a good idea. So what is the best thing? If you can manage at a single point so that everyone can use that. So if any change is coming in the future, we can change at one places, then it will reflect at all of the places. So we will be sure that, okay, there is no any places which is missed, and whatever I want, it will be reflected in all of the systems, right? So Spring Data API came for the reducing the boilerplate code, because ultimately we are using the JDBC, the Java API for the connecting database, and after that the Spring ORM came. ORM is the object relational model, means we will be dealing with the object related model, right? Now after that, again there is a boilerplate lot of codes. So people started thinking that how can we reduce these things? So again, a Spring Boot came for the Spring Data API. So this is a really powerful framework of the Spring Boot, right? So why this is powerful? So if you want to query from a database, let's say a student has a table is there is a column, name, age, roll number, address, everything, and you are trying to search on a student based upon the roll number and the age, or based on the roll number only. So in normal, in SQL query, you have to write what we will be writing, select a star from a student this, and where condition is equal to this. So these things we are writing manually, right? So again, here the manual intervention is there. So how can we reduce this manual things? So Spring Data API given a functions, given a interfaces, a lot of interfaces, right? So just you have to declare your methods. You don't have to worry about the implementation. Implementation will be taken care by the Spring Data API, right? You just have to write the in the interface a method you have to write only, abstract method, right? So a lot of things will be handled internally by the Spring Data API. So the interfaces is provided by the Spring Data API is the JPA repository. Okay, it is an interface. JPA repository, again, paging and sorting repository. There is a repository which is a marker interface. Marker interface means there is no any abstract method, it's just a naming. Okay, functional interface means just a single abstract method. And for the Spring Data JPA, if you are using the JPA repository or CRUD repository, CRUD means create and read, and U means update, and D means delete. So these are the operations over a databases. CRUD. CRUD means, again, you have to, whatever you are dealing with the database, you are using the CRUD operation. So all of the CRUD operations you can use mostly by the Spring Data JPA by the predefined implementations. Okay. But if you're trying to search on customized query, so again, you no need to write the query by manually. Who is responsible? Again, Spring Data JPA will be writing the query. Just you have to write the proper message, like find by the, let's say for searching on age, so you can write find by age. It will try to go and search in the table based upon the age, and it will give you the result. If you're trying to search on the two conditions, so you can write find by condition 1 and condition 2. Just you have to write the English word in the method name. So if you're writing proper method name, you will be end up with the proper data, whatever you want. So Spring Data API in terms of that, it's a really powerful, and it is reducing the time of and development effort also. In a quick time, you can build a bigger things. Now, if we are talking about the master slave, what is the master slave here? Master slave means whatever the create means insert operation we are dealing. So everything we will be writing on the master databases. Master data means, for example, a database is there. Okay, and then that databases, whatever we are doing operations, by default, this is happening on the master. Master means just a single databases. There is no replica. Replica means just a backup for this. Okay. So let's say if your main database is someone has deleted in production, what he will do? He will lose all of the information, all of the customer related information, right? So there should be some backup. and how we can create a backup. So there should be a architecture in your database, which is called master slave architecture. Okay. So in master slave architecture, what will happen? Everything, whatever the write operation means insert operation, update operation. Let's say if data is not available in your table, so at the first time you will be inserting. Okay. And if already data is available, then if any change is coming in the future, you will be updating the record. So this is the write operation. We can say read and write in two parts. So write is combining two things, insert or either update. And read means only you are fetching the information from your table. So these two things will happen on the different architectures in different databases. So the read operation will happen on this slave only, which is the backup. And the write operation means insert and the update operation will happen on the master databases. So what we are doing, let's say in your project, only in a 1 minute you are doing 10 read operation, one write operation. So 11 operation you are hitting on the single databases, okay, where you are writing. So these things you can reduce on the master databases. You can shift all of the read operation to a slave. So your slave is handling 10 operation, but master is handling only one operation. And to reduce the load of the slave, again, you can create a number of slaves. Slaves means, let's say if you are creating one master, one slave, or one master, three slaves, one master, five slaves. Generally, people prefer the odd number of slaves. Okay. And all of the slaves are interlinked with each other, means they are internally communicating and they are in sync. So whatever the write operation you are doing on the master, in just a few milliseconds, your slave will get the update from the master. Let's say if you are changing the name of a student, your slave will also be in sync. If you're trying to read the same student, he will receive the updated name. It's not like we have updated on the master, but slave will not have the updated record. No. Slave is created in such a fashion that it will be in a sync with your masters. For
Okay,
example,
so no,
yeah,
sorry to interrupt, but as you mentioned that usually users build slaves in odd numbers. Is there a specific reason behind it or something?
yeah, a specific reason is like, for example, let's say if you are building one master, one slave, okay? If your master goes down, okay, you will be totally depending on the slave for the serving the read operation. Again, here a single slave is available. Again, it's a single point of failure. Okay. What people are trying to do, with the two slaves, for example, let's say we are moving on the two slaves. So in slave architecture is, let's say slave means we are a backup. Let's say me and you are a backup. So if any request is coming from outside, there must be someone at the door who is responsible to accept the request. And then we can sync internally and we can serve the purpose, right? So for time being, let's say two slave is available. If request is coming and at that time one slave goes down, who is responsible? Again, only one slave is available, right? So in terms of only one slave, again, a single point of failure if my that slave is also going down. So people is not using one also, people is not using two also, but people is sticking with the three numbers. So in three numbers, this is a least chance. If one slave is going down, two slave is also going down. So it's a rare chances. Okay. And three slaves is also going down. So people started preferring the odd number. In odd number also, one is not preferable. Three is the most preferable for the medium-sized organization. And the five is the best suitable. Okay, and going higher it is also not a good idea because it will introduce a delay in your query result. If you are searching any result, it will take a 4 second, 5 second. It might increase the query time also. So
So
that's
as you increase the number of slaves, the latency will also get increased.
latency will get increased internal in your the slave syncing time. Okay,
Okay.
because one master is writing the data and getting updated, but it has to sync with so many slaves.
Okay.
So
Thanks for
this will,
answering my question. Now you can continue with yours.
yeah, thanks. So master slave architecture is just for the highly scalable and highly available systems, because we don't want our system goes down in the night or if any traffic load is getting increased. So the master slave architecture must be in your backend system so that your system will be available highly. Anytime if you're thinking, okay, my system is not performing well, it is going down many times. Some database connection is getting stopped. Application is closing the connection with my database. So in that scenario, we will be thinking that how can we ensure that our application should be all time up. For that, there is a connection you are using. So there must be some connection pool. How many connections your application is making with the databases, that you have to also think. You can optimize that connection. Redundant open connection, you are not leaving many. This will also lead to a failure of your application or the databases. So such things we have to care while building the backend systems. Now, the next important point is, for example, let's say if any information you are fetching for a particular student journey, let's say, for example, if you are applying for a credit card, okay, in a bank, what you will do? At the beginning, you will be filling your application, and after just few time, you will be filling your address, you will be filling your Aadhaar, and after submitting, the next step it is asking for the PAN, and in the next step it is asking for the do KYC, and again in the next step it is asking for the means Aadhaar verification, which is eKYC, and next is the video KYC, VKYC, which is also called. So there are so many steps to get the single credit card, or if you are applying for a loan also, there is so many steps. Okay, so for every steps, let's say there is some particular data which is we are storing in your databases. So every time, for example, let's say I am submitting my basic details. Okay, for example, name, age, gender, all of the information like basic informations. So if we have submitted, now after submitting, again we are fetching that information, a particular information from the databases, which is, let's say, a token is available. So for token, again you are fetching from the databases. The next time the details you are filling, again you are submitting, and that time again you are fetching the token, and again the next time you are fetching the token. So for every time, what you are doing, you are hitting the databases unnecessarily. If there is a static data which is stored, why we are hitting again and again the DB? If there is any way that we can stop that unnecessary hit on the databases, by this way our database load will be lower. So there comes here the caching. Okay, so caching means you can reduce the network calls. Why it is reducing the network calls? Because, for example, understand here, let's say we are a bank, okay, and we are, for example, consider Indus Bank, Indus IND, okay, which is delivering the credit card. Now, there are two ways to give the credit card to the users. One is we are as a customer directly approaching to bank. Okay. Now the another thing is we are directly approaching through a partners. Like there are so many the other third party partners who has tie up with the bank, and there, because there is a high users. For example, let's say on Amazon you are going and you are seeing the ICICI credit card. Why this is Amazon is giving you ICICI credit card? Because Amazon has a large pool of users. Okay, and ICICI Bank has not as the Amazon users. So what Amazon will think, I am the god in the terms of number of users. ICICI will think I will be the god in terms of giving the money, means giving the cards. So they're leveraging the property of each other. Amazon is providing the users, ICICI Bank is giving the card to the users. So in that scenario, if you are trying to apply on the Amazon, let's say if you are submitting details, then whatever the details you are submitting, Amazon will submit your details to ICICI Bank. Again, ICICI Bank will get the will give you the response that okay, this information are correct. You can move to the next step for the users. Again, users will submitting next few information. Again, in the same information you are submitting to bank ICICI. So while submitting to bank ICICI, not Amazon is a single partner. Amazon has, let's say, sorry, ICICI Bank has a 10 partners like Amazon, Flipkart, and other also. So how ICICI can understand that okay, this request is coming from the Amazon only. Okay, this request is coming from the partner X only. So for this, the ICICI Bank will give some ID, unique ID, let's say API key or anything, unique ID that ICICI Bank has to submit that every time. So if you are storing that information in the DB, so for every user submitting the details, every time you will be hitting the database to query that information. So this is again not a good idea. So what are the best approaches here? So we can try to use to store somewhere where the fetching time is fast. Means in terms of millisecond, a few milliseconds, we can fetch the information. So for that, who is the faster? We know the in-memory databases can be a lot more faster than the generic databases, right? So we try to leverage the property of the in-memory databases. And in the market, there are so many in-memory databases. For example, the Redis cache. Okay. So we can integrate our Spring Boot application with the Redis. And for that, the Redis client has been provided for the Java, which is the Redis client and the Lattice client. So which is coming into the Spring Data Redis. For example, here the databases, there is a Spring Data JPA. In the similar way, there is a Spring Data Redis, which is provided by the Spring. And you can use that dependency in your project, and you can build the integration with the Redis cache, and whatever you want, you can store in the Redis cache. And at a time, just you can fetch the data in the few milliseconds. So in this way, you will be reducing the load on your databases, and you are just relying on the Redis cache. Again, is similar to databases, there could be a chance of failure on your cache, Redis also. So to be highly available, what we are doing? Again, the master slave architecture we can introduce in our Redis also. So that if any master is going down or any slave is going down, there should be someone who can serve our request. Okay. So master slave architecture is again used in our Redis databases. And this highly available Redis architecture is called the Sentinel. Sentinel is highly available. So we can use the cache for the optimizing the our latency, reducing the network calls, means reducing the unnecessary hit on the databases. And by this way, our application will be faster, a lot more faster, because we are hitting the databases. So hitting the databases is a quite complex task, right? It will take a lot of time. So in let's say if your database taking 1 second, you can hardly fetch the information from Redis in 10 milliseconds. So you can think, say you are reducing so many times in your a single API journey. So cache will make you a faster application. So we have to use the cache with our applications, whatever we are building, to be the fastest. Okay. Now, till now, what we did, we have built so many applications with the help of this technology. But the main point is we have to monitor this also, because if you have built anything and you have deployed in your production, you are sleeping. And in that scenario, if your any system is going down, you are not aware. And it will be flooded on your social media data. Okay, this particular company system is down, looks like this has gone, and some other competitor will be happy. Okay, my competitor is gone now, then I will be the god in this industry. So this things we don't want. We want that if anything is happening, any unnecessary thing is happening with our application, if any of the server is going unhealthy, we should be informed immediately within a matter of second or minute or 2 minutes, 3 minutes, right? So how can we do that? So for that, we have to monitor our system carefully. So for monitoring purpose, Spring is providing you a framework which is called the Spring actuator, right? So with the help of a Spring actuator, you can build the applications with the full monitoring, right? And it is giving you the lot of endpoints related with your threads, with your heap dump, with the metrics like the latency, whether it is 4xx, 5xx error, so many things. And you can try to use that the metrics with your alerting system. Okay, if any is going unhealthy or any boxes, so there is a endpoint for the health check. If you are hitting health check on every, let's say uh, let's say every 30 seconds, or let's say every 1 minute you are hitting the health check, means every 15 minutes you are checking the health of your application. And if any failure is occurred in your health check, then you will not get the success response, and you will be knowing that, okay, my system is down currently. So health check is really important. For that, the Spring Actuator framework is available. We can use that also, right? So now the things is the message queue. Where this is used, message queue. So message queue is, for example, I hope you all of are a software developer, or you are in a college, or you are a fresh graduate, right? Or you have some experience also, or 5 year, 10 year, doesn't matter. But you must have tried the data structure things, and you must be heard the terms of the code forces, code chef, lead code, and some other online coding judge, SPOS. Okay, so there are so many online coding judges where you are submitting your data structure related code, and that online judges is checking the your the the output of for the every inputs, and after that it is giving you the number of test cases that you have crossed, right? So for example, let's say consider on the code forces, you are submitting your code. Let's say a contest is happening worldwide, people is participating in that contest, and let's say 10 million are there, and at the time when the contest started, let's say problem one is quite easy. In within a 5 minute, all of the contestant has submitted the code, means answer for this particular first problem. So will their system will be capable to handle so many requests at that time? Again, if you will not handle this carefully, your system will be broken. So how the code forces or any online judges is handling such things? A lot of traffic. High traffic is how it is handled. Okay, so for that, a message queue is really important. So how we can use the message queue? So let's understand the architecture, how message queue is available in our market and we are using. So in message queue, there is a called a central topic. Okay, means the kind of databases, there is a topic. Topic means a location where you will be writing data, and that topic is available to everyone. Okay, so the architecture is, there is a producer who will be producing the data, and there will be a consumer who will be consuming the data. Okay, so producer is producing data, means where it is producing, and consumer from where it is consuming. So there is some common location. At that location, producer is putting the data, and consumers is consuming the data from that location. So that location is your topic. Okay, the name is topic in your Kafka, because in message queue these days in the market, people is using a lot is which is Kafka. Okay, so for Kafka, let's say API I have written to accept your code. Okay, on online judges, you are submitting code. So I have written a API. So your front end is submitting the data through the API, means calling the API. API is nothing but just a method which is available on the remote. Okay, so you are submitting your data. API is just accepting the request, and it is putting into a Kafka topic. It is not processing anything, not doing anything, just putting into the Kafka topic. And let's say I have 10 consumers we are running. 10 consumers will start consuming the data one by one. Okay. And after consuming, it will start processing, means running the test cases. Let's say 1,000 test cases I have written. So all of the 1,000 data, it is started executing, and you will try to test on all of these inputs. If everything is fine, then I will show you that, okay, your all test cases passed, and you are getting the 100% score. Similarly, there are other consumers who is accepting the another student, okay, another student code, which is processing in a similar way. So from a single point, we are so many consumers. We have taken the data at single point, because in processing it will take time. So we are not processing. We are just accepting the data, and we are putting into a common location. And the processing part will taken care by the other consumers, which is consuming the data. And after consuming, it will mark as a data as acknowledged. So this data will not be acknowledged again, means they cannot be consumed again. So in the message queue on the Kafka architecture, we are just accepting in the async flow, means just accepting, not processing anything, accepting the data and putting into the Kafka queue. Processing will be taken care by the consumers, because in processing, let's say it might take 1 minute to run 1 million test cases, or any number of test cases. So 1 second or 2 seconds, so we don't want to delay. So we're accepting, and we are just showing the message on the screen that please wait, we are evaluating your system, your code. And after the consumer completed the process, we are continuously polling the current updates, whether it is got completed or not. Once it is completed, we will be showing the result on your UI. Okay, your test cases passes, or your test cases get failed on the test case number on this. So you are seeing like failed on the pre-test 78. It means that all of your 76 or 77 test cases has been passed, and it failed on the 78. So these things are handled by the message queue, the Kafka these days. So this is the really important for a accepting the high traffic online judges. Similarly, for example, the delivery partner, the Zomato, whatever you are ordering on the Zomato, and at the few minutes or few seconds, you are getting the updates that okay, my delivery boy is currently at this location. Okay, this is at this location. Now the data will be available in the 2 minutes or 3 minutes. The things will be available to me. So all of this information will happening through the Kafka queue only, message queue. Okay, so you can build the system like message queue, and whatever the things is happening, you are just pushing the information into the Kafka topic. Consumer is taking the data and it is updating wherever it is required. Similarly, on the train ticket, you are booking the waiting ticket, or you are just getting a message, SMS or a notification that okay, my ticket has been confirmed. So how this is possible? You are not doing any action on the screen, but you are getting the related information, whatever the things is getting changed. So these things are only possible because you are updating data at a central location, and at the central location, there are so many consumers. So many consumers are available to catch the data and update where it is required. So like this, we are able to get the latest information in the ticket also. So for this, message queue is really important. And the monitoring tools, there is a Prometheus, which is nothing but a time series databases. Time series database means whatever the application matrix is getting generated, we will be storing by time to time into our the databases in the Prometheus. And in Prometheus, there is a alert manager. And to query that data on the databases, there is a separate language. PromQL means Prometheus query language. So we can use the Prometheus query language to fetch the data from the Prometheus time series databases. And based upon that, the information we want to present on the UI means, let's say, to show someone, let's say if you are a junior developer and your senior developer is asking that, okay, can you show me the metrics of our application? How many errors we are getting, how my application is performing. So you must build some UI. Okay. So you don't have to worry about it. How can we build UI? So Grafana is there for you. So on the Grafana, you can plot whatever the information you want, like pie chart, histogram, or line graph, anything you want, you can plot. So Grafana is responsible to show the data which is stored in your Prometheus. And you can set the time that my Grafana dashboard will be updated by this time. So time by time, your information will be getting updated. Similarly, Kibana is available. Kibana is mostly used for the log management. For the whatever the information application is releasing the logs, that logs you can monitor through the Kibana. Similarly, APM, the application performance management. APM is mostly used for the cases where you are trying to understand that okay, there are 100 classes available. My request is communicating to this 100 classes. So what is happening for every classes? Who is taking how many times? Okay, so all of the modular means the micro level information we will be getting from the APM. Okay, Thanos is again related with the Prometheus. You can if you are trying to search some query, so you can write a PromQL in the Thanos, and Thanos will give the result from the Prometheus. And the Spring actuator is nothing but it is the framework which is capable to all of these things, Prometheus related things, and Thanos. Okay, and all of the alert endpoints you want. Right now, the most important thing is there are some secrets, some credentials in your application. For example, let's say if you are trying to connect with your databases, so databases you are trying to connect, there must be some user login ID, password. With the help of that, you will be connecting to databases. So if you are writing a database password or user ID in your code, and someone has access to your code repository, he will be easily able to know, okay, this is the database password, and he can try to log in and it will delete all of your entry. Then all of your business has gone. And you are thinking that, okay, my business is running quite smooth, and someone has deleted all of the record in your databases. So we don't want to expose such credentials. So where can we store these credentials? So for storing the credentials, there is so many things are available in the market these days. So one of the most popular things is the vault. So in a vault, you can store the encrypted information. Okay. And at the time of usage, you can fetch the information from the vault, and you can decrypt it and you can use it. So if someone is getting the access of your vault also, he will not be able to do anything because you are storing the information as an encrypted form. So for encryption, he has to decrypt, and for decryption, he needs the IV, the algorithm, by which algorithm I encrypted the data. What are the secret key that I have used to encrypting the data? Is any initial vector IV is used for the encrypting? So all of this information you want, but this information is not available yet. So that information you will store on the server environment variable, and the secrets you are using by encrypting in the vault. If you are not trying to use the vault, there is a AWS Secrets Manager. There you can also use. So, for example, there is a service KMS where you can use the encrypted systems, and you can whatever information you want, you can encrypt and store that. So your Amazon is also providing so many services. If you don't want to use Amazon, there is a vault system. You can use the encrypted information into the vault. Or if you have not the access of the vault, for time being for a smaller organization, you can use in the server environment variable. But again, server environment variable is a risky. If you have not added enough policies on your server, then anyone can hack your server and get the required information from server. So we don't want to store such information, sensitive information into server. We always prefer some other places, which is in the encrypted form, must be in encrypted form, because someone is getting the access of vault. Again, there is a chance of leaking your information. So all of those things we have to think while building the systems. Okay, by security wise, by latency wise, by performance wise, all of the things we have to care while building backend systems, right? And the protocols like these days we are mostly using the many like in the older time we were using the other things, but these days some gRPCs using people for the highly available, because there is no head of line blocking in the gRPC. Before that we are using currently the TCP. So these days there are so many in the market. Based upon the required and the use cases, you can use anything. But in the normal HTTP protocol, if you are using, there is a head of line blocking. So if there are 100 of requests you are pushing, if there is no any enough free space to accept that request, it will be stored in a queue. One by one, the information is getting stored in a queue. There will be a delay introduced. So if you don't want to introduce the delay, you can use the gRPC. So in the gRPC, you will be there will be no head of line blocking. You will be able to produce a lot of calls at the same time. So there will be no chance of the rate limit exceeded. Okay, because why the rate limit is terms is coming? Because for your system is capable only accept 50 requests per second. But let's say if I'm a client of your system, I'm hitting 2000 requests per second, your system will get crashed. Okay, so we want key we are only accepting 50 requests. We don't allow more than 50. So what we will do? We will not allow more than 50. And by that way, our system will be safe and secure. So this is the complete overview of how a beginner can start the backend development with the help of Java. And what are the prerequisite? Prerequisite is Java code, and then we can start with the Spring directly. So I hope all of the information will help you to start your career into the Java backend developer. So thanks for the joining. So this is the end for me. Thanks.
So thank you so much, Sonu, for taking your valuable time for us today and for sharing such valuable insights with us today. And I also think it had helped all our viewers how can they start their backend engineer journey. And so now I will be sharing my screen, and also I will be sharing an attendance form from the in the chat box. And if you want to receive an ebook filled with informative insights about the industry, you can just fill in the form, and we will send you an ebook. And after that, we will be showing you our website, an overview of our website and how everything works on our platform. So just wait. So this is what our websites look like. And you can just Google skillvertex.com, and from there you will come to this website and select any courses you want. Let's say placement to show, we have multiple domains: computer science, app development, cloud computing, cybersecurity, and also we have management domains like digital marketing, finance, human resource. marketing and sales, and you can choose whichever you want one you want. And we have also introduced online compiler on our website, uh, with which you can test your coding skills. And if you sign in, if once you have registered on our website and you sign in, you will be uh, able to see following courses which you have purchased. So I have purchased this. These are the courses that I have purchased, but my subscription shows nothing we here because I don't have any subscription. I just have purchased them. So when you buy a subscription from our website, you will be able to see subscription over here. And let's say you have bought, let's say, finance batch. Okay, so once you click on the finance batch, you will be shown with every information about the course and the demo classes. So let's say there are 15 classes, there will be 4 assignments and 2 industrial projects. And you will be having lifetime access to this LMS portal. So this is the LMS portal which you are seeing right now. And this is information about the mentor and your faculty and other courses as well. So if you go to the video section, there are the videos which you will be getting after you have purchased our course. So this is the our website. And also for our Android users, you can go to Google Play Store and download skillvertex.com. From there, you can download the app, and you will be able to access all the things that you are accessing on the website, as well as the events we are organizing, like this webinar and other upcoming webinars. So if you want to keep updated on what we are doing, just download the app and sign in. And so thank you, Sonu, for taking your time for us today. And thank you all the participants for joining us today. We hope you find this webinar informative and useful in your career advancement. And please feel free if you have any questions or any doubts in the query section of the form we have shared. And thank you for joining us today.